It's way too early in the morning for this. 5:40 in the morning. I have stuff to do this morning. The only way I was gonna get this done was for me to wake up at 5:30, get dressed, and come out here into my garage so I can make this video for you. A little bit sick, so I sound a little bit like I'm having trouble pronouncing my N's and M. Guys, I use all pronouns. Let me get one thing straight. I'm a girl, okay? So, you know, out in public, people are just gonna refer to me as she and her, and that's gonna be normal, right? But here's the reason I felt I needed to say it. The first time I said that I used all pronouns was on Instagram when one of my reels went viral. Now, for those of you who are over 25, Instagram is social media where usually young people interact with each other. They post pictures and videos. They can message people, they can sell things. You can just upload a video, or you can do something called a reel. Now, a reel will post a video and will kind of just sort of send it to everybody on Instagram. So I made a reel and it went viral. Now, in the reel, I had shoulder-length hair, and I guess I was at a goofy angle, so a lot of people in the comment section either referred to me as they or he, not because I said I'm a boy, but because I was dressed something like this without the shoulder pads, and I had shoulder-length hair. In the comment section of this viral video, a lot of people were asking, what are your pronouns? Are you a girl or a boy? This was around the same time I was really close to somebody who was starting to go by a boy on Instagram, and I compared myself a lot with her all the time. So when she was doing things, I kind of wanted to make sure I was doing the same things as well.
That was not good for me.
I was tempted to tell people who were asking my pronouns that I was a he, him. Eventually, I decided that I would just be good with anything. First time I ever said that I used any pronouns was in response to someone's comment.
What are your pronouns?
I wrote,
Any.
that just made it super easy for me. I didn't really have to pick. I guess the second big time I said that I used any pronouns, I guess, was on Pinterest.
For those of you under 20, maybe?
Pinterest has been around for a while. It's mostly for people to find recipes, find clothing ideas. It's a social media that isn't really a social media. You're not supposed to go out and talk to people on it. You can message people, but the messaging is just a little bit different. You can send people existing photos and videos on Pinterest, but not any of your own.
So warning, I'm about to go on a tangent, and I cut out most of it, but I included some of it in there, and it's unrelated to the video because I feel like this is helpful for a lot of other young people on social media who are pressured to have as many likes and as much attention as
I
possible.
got Pinterest a few months ago, and I did include some pictures of myself. I got viral on Instagram, and so the next few photos I started posting got like up to 300 likes, and I was like,
Whoa, this is amazing.
and then very quickly it dwindled down to maybe 40 likes, and I was like,
Oh, dunk on it. I wanted more.
so I started posting more on Pinterest, but because on Pinterest, I would never get likes. I didn't feel like I needed to compare myself or do better for Pinterest. So I was posting a lot of photos on Pinterest, and then at one point, I got the first message from like anybody. If the reason you want to know my pronouns is so that you know how to refer to me and compliment me, well, I don't really want you to know. I want you to compliment me based on natural reaction, or well, not that kind of natural reaction. I mean, you have she, her in your bio, or he, him, or even they, them. You're either gonna get compliments that are like,
Oh, you're super handsome, you're like a prince, you rock the outfit, man.
or you're gonna get pronouns that are like,
You're such a princess. You're so beautiful. You're so pretty.
the problem is a lot of people do gender their compliments. And it never really frustrated me until I began noticing that it was actually different, that the compliments were actually different if someone could tell you were a girl versus if someone could tell you were a boy. So when people started to not be able to tell, and they wanted to know my gender simply so that they could know how to compliment me, well, I don't want you to compliment me a certain way. That's kind of putting an extra box on me, and I'm trying to escape from boxes and society when I'm using social media. I am honestly okay with any pronouns. Okay, school cam right now, don't worry, we're allowed to not wear masks. Actually, that is not entirely true. Every pronoun that someone gives me somehow stings a little bit. Like she, her stings because just the feminization of it kind of stings. But he, him also stings because like I feel like I'm lying to people when they simply assume that I'm a boy. And then they, them also feels weird because Like, it just doesn't work for me as a singular pronoun, so that I don't lie to people by using he, him, and so that I don't have people feminizing me, and using they, them just causes drama. I'm equally okay and not okay with all pronouns. Part of taking away the sting is simply to dissociate those pronouns from, like, feminine aesthetics or masculine aesthetics or, like, androgynous aesthetics, because they're just words. And words don't have to hurt if you don't let them. Like, if you look at a picture of me on social media and you think that's a boy, then you don't have to ask me, just use he, him pronouns, it's fine. Use a masculine way of complimenting me, I guess. The truth is, there is a difference. I can tell. I've seen it. If you honestly can't tell, just use they, them, I guess. I don't care. Just tell me what you think about me. Do you think I'm too blonde? Tell me you think I'm too blonde. Now, there's a second reason why I also use any pronouns, and that is because pronouns actually derive from the Lplus community. Pronouns come from when men feel there are women and want people to refer to them as such before they actually really look like women, and when women want people to refer to them as men without looking like men yet. And for people who don't feel like either, who wants more of a custom-made pronoun or wants specifically gender-neutral pronoun, even though society looks at them and sees them either as a man or a woman. And so for these people, it got really annoying for them to correct people when they referred to them by certain pronouns. So they tried to normalize you saying your name and your pronouns, or wearing a pronoun pin, or including pronouns in your bio on social media. But the thing is, if all these trans and non-binary people are using pronouns in their bio or in their day-to-day life, then people are going to notice, hey, anyone who uses pronouns is transgender or non-binary. As a result, a lot of cisgender allies, and if you're cisgender, it basically means that you were born female and you're okay being a girl, or you were born male and you're okay being a boy. Cisgender allies of the Lplus community started using pronouns in their bio. So now, due to
Society, I guess.
Pronouns have become like more of a thing that people will ask you, and pronouns have become more of a thing that teachers will ask you. A couple teachers will ask you on the first day of school, like, to put your name down and your pronouns down, your preferred pronouns. And the truth is that the Lplus community has made it super hard to be a girl. Like, being a she, her female is just an impossible standard at this point, because if you ever have feelings of
Not quite being a girl.
not wanting to dress feminine or not being comfortable with your body,
Well, all of a sudden you're not a girl anymore.
if you're a girl, you have to be super feminine.
But not too feminine, because that's probably a sign you're not actually a girl.
You have to be, like, okay with your body and your pronouns and your femininity all the time. I don't meet them, and I don't really want to meet them because then I wouldn't really be myself. And so what the Lplus community has basically done is it has
Taking away my femininity.
So when I use she, her, I have basically put myself into that impossibly tiny box that the Lplus community has created for girls. The fact that I use any pronouns is sort of a way for me to be comfortable in my own skin and avoid getting put into any box by the LGBTQ community. I don't wear a pronoun bin that says, I use any pronouns, please refer to me by any and or all pronouns. Like, if I'm out in public and people mistake me for a guy, which has happened multiple times at this point. I was standing in line for a long line for the women's restroom, and this boyfriend with his girlfriend were standing in line, and he looked at me and he was like,
Are you in line for the bathroom?
and I'm like, yeah, and he's like,
Oh, the guy's bathroom is over there.
and I'm like, I'm a girl actually, and he was kind of like weirded out at first, like,
You look like a boy, but okay, you are a girl, I guess.
So I was taking pictures with my family. We had all gone to the mall to get our picture taken as a family. And this lady was just super gendering. She was calling my sister like princess and pretty, and she was telling her to pose like this, put your hands on your hips. And when she referred to me, she was like, okay, put your hands in your pockets. And then she started calling me brother. I think she called me man at some point. And then I heard her refer to me by male pronouns, and then I was like,
Wait, I think she actually thinks I'm a guy.
I had never been complimented like this before. Like, normally when I went to get my picture taken at the mall, It was so obnoxious the way the ladies there would feminize you and be like,
Hey, make sure you look pretty and like me look up there like a princess and pose like this.
that's obnoxious. I don't want to look like a princess. I want to look like a...
Wait, soldier.
And then she got confused because they were calling me she. And then she asked me to move, and she was kind of like, she. So out in public, if it's really necessary, I'm not going to lie that I'm a boy. You know, if I meet you and we become friends, and then you're like, oh, by the way, I can't tell if you're a girl or a boy, I'll be like, oh, I'm a girl. How you see your friends as a boy or a girl does kind of affect how you treat them. I can't really put it into words, but I just understand that it makes sense and that it's okay. When you're talking about him or her to your other friends or your family, when you're introducing your friend to your other friends, it kind of helps you know what kind of experience they've had. More recently, I used any pronouns at an art fair at my school because they asked me what my pronouns were, and I didn't know why that was necessary. Because why do they need to know what I am to display my art? Before, it would just be the name, or sign your name, and here's the poster. It was never necessary to know whether the artist was male or female. Now you literally have to tell everybody your gender. And at this point, that just makes me kind of uncomfortable. Anyways, I felt the need to make this video because just more instances of me saying that the pronouns I use are any pronouns in my day-to-day life, because pronouns are now becoming a bigger deal. And pronouns are also becoming a lot more tied with gender identity. I think your sex is fixed. You're male because you're born male, you're female because you're born female. Pronouns don't really define that. In places where gender is made a big deal, in order to avoid me being a girl being a big deal, I just use any pronouns.
So anyways, in conclusion, in the normal sense of the word, I'm a girl. However, as the Lplus definition of girl becomes the widespread definition of girl, I want to pull myself apart from that as much as possible because it just doesn't describe me. I'm a normal girl in my day-to-day life. How I dress or how I act doesn't change that. But according to the Lplus community, how I act and dress does.
In a public area.